So, the only dream I had last night was based off of watching these mukbang videos on the Facebook Reels of these young ladies who are so skinny, little Asian ladies, and had all this food in front of them, and they're just eating this food that looks so good. And the food just is so, well, not say animated, but it's something that I would love to eat because it looks like it's creamy, it's chocolatey with gooey syrup and stuff, and you're just like, oh my God. But, it's not like I'm going to do that. And occasionally I will indulge in something like a tiramisu. But yeah, that's a major gluttony, but that's life. But anyway, so I had a dream of melting down a bunch of food flavored soaps and then trying to sell it as a food and eat it and stuff. And that's just such a weird thing. But hey, if that's the extent of my dreams now, I welcome it. If my dreams are based upon what I've seen recently on the Facebook Reels, oh my God, I have released the demons. Like literally, I have released the demons. And it also gives me a clear picture on a lot of things in this world that I've learned and experienced. And so, one of the major takeaways from my whole life is about power and control. And there's a common theme in all of these movies that are all over Netflix and YouTube and Facebook Reels. It's about what people do with power, when they get a taste of power, when they have power. And I even learned in the independent movement, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Okay. And so, yeah, you don't want to have so much power. And if you do, it'll be something that will corrupt you. It'll be something that will completely corrupt you. And that was the message of the Lord of the Rings. That was the message of even the slasher movies. When you have power over children and your good intentions, right? The road to hell is paved by good intentions. You could develop serial killers. You could from overprotection or not enough protection. And how do you even measure that? I don't know. That's why most people should be bringing in a professional to figure out how to deal with their family if their family is out of control. So I figured out that the theme of the world and the theme of the New World Order, this is what you have to understand. The theme of the New World Order is to recognize how brutal people become when they get a taste of power. And that includes the families, that includes the group settings, the politics, the religion, the science. Now look at your Facebook around all these elections and how evil or mean people are around someone like a Kamala Harris or Michelle Obama, or even around a Biden, and even around a Trump. Just ask the Trump people, those who hate Trump, and then flip to the other side and ask those who hate Kamala, who hate Biden. Oh my God, the evil is abound. And so power and control. And I noticed too, well, I didn't notice, but let's connect all the dots. Whenever you have a family, you develop a hole in yourself. People develop family because they have holes. And they think that developing a child is going to fill in the holes. No, you just develop another hole. It's like, I don't even know if there's even a term for that. Point of no return? No, I couldn't say that. Making something out of nothing? I don't even know. It's a hunger. Well, anyways, so just listen to this, because the thing with meiosis and mitosis, the J world is about mitosis. And I even said this a long time ago that we are about mitosis. I just didn't have all the information at my fingertips to give you a logical explanation. But mitosis is what I've been experiencing. Feeling the pain and suffering, eating a bunch of food, resting, releasing, and facing all the demons, and self-replicating, self-regulate, using only the food supply. I'm not feeding off of anyone else when you think about it. My husband and I do what we do, but ultimately what do I depend upon? The food. I invest in food. I invest in making sure I understand how to keep my climate in my house under control, and even in my body. So I learned that yeah, fuck. It's like, oh God, it's a power and control. Yes, developing families, developing holes. And so I've been filling the holes the last however many years and facing the demons. And so people do what they do. And when they're lonely, they go and make holes to then go and try to fill them back up again. So, but I know there is a name for that. Now I couldn't figure out. But anyways, so family is developing holes only to spend the rest of their lives filling the holes and gaps they develop themselves purposely. That's why mothers want grandchildren. See, so I'm getting, my arms are getting stronger. All right. So anyways, okay. So that's why they want their daughters and sons to have holes, right? Because, mothers and grandchildren, mothers want grandchildren or grandmothers want grandchildren, whatever, because they have holes by developing their daughters and sons. And so they want to share, or find a way to develop the holes. So whatever they developed a hole in themselves with their children, and they want their children to then also fill in the holes, and then the grandchildren fill in the more holes. And it becomes then such a circle jerk, I guess. It's kind of weird. Anyways. And so the medical holistic system spends the rest of your life making holes in you or filling in the holes because you cannot do either one on your own. So then people who are so overly abundant, right? And so they're so fertile, they have so much offspring in their body, causing all these different types of immunological diseases and other types of diseases that they have to go and get the system to go and cut things out because there's too much life and it's causing the torture. I mean, yes, they're fertile, but it's also torturing them. Bleeding profusely, yes, anemia, all these different types of issues that go on. And so then if you're not getting holes filled in through antibiotics and other things that people do to fill in the holes, alcoholism, addiction, all that, having a bunch of friends and family around you, then it is the medical system taking away life, making holes in you to relieve the pressure. Okay? And so that's kind of what's the world now. So wow, such a lesson. All right? So, and the medical system spends the rest of your life making holes in you or filling in the holes because you cannot do either one on your own. So wow, such a lesson on what power does to people. Absolute power does corrupt absolutely. Okay? And so absolute power corrupts absolutely. What the heck did I write here? That's okay. Corrupts absolutely. I'm thinking so much. I gotta correct that. Dang. What? Corrupts, absolute corrupts. Yeah, I guess it could. Corrupts absolute power. No. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Sorry. I'm gonna just corrupts absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Okay. All right. Because that's a dumb mistake I made. And, all right. But I gotta corrupts. Literally. Okay. And I'll fix the other one. That's fine. Okay. Give me 1 second. Because it's still pretty crazy dealing with a little bit. I still feel the pull, but not as bad. But still, I woke up very early. And I couldn't tell you why. But I woke up very early. I blew my nose a little bit, but not a lot. All right. Corrupts absolutely. I still feel a little bit of the pain, but not as bad as it was. But I think also because I played soccer back in 2000, about 20 years ago, and I had a hyperextension in my wrist, and that's probably why I feel the pain too sometimes. All right, so I had to fix that that was something I had to do a little bit anal around that. But whatever. Okay. So anyways, so absolute power corrupts absolutely. And as a child, I experienced tremendous power over another person, just by the use of fear. So that was how I was able to control my sisters, through fear. And I know she resented me for that. And I'm sure we both hit each other. I mean, I'm sure I've hit her, she hit me. We would fight, as kids, like siblings do. But believe me, it's not as bad as some siblings who actually go to blows and beat each other up. But we weren't like that. So my mother made sure that we didn't do that to each other. But the use of fear. So I had the use of fear used from my mother. I would use the fear on my sister. My sister then will do whatever she does out there. And so that was how fear and everything else gets that's how power gets transferred. Those are electrons spilling over to other electrons. That's the violation of the octet rule if you're going to bring physics into it. Okay? And as a child, I experienced tremendous power over another person just by the use of fear. And that is a lesson and a taste of what we as humans foolishly chase after. We chase after the power of love, the power of hate, the power of dominance and control, and the power to persuade others to follow us and copy us and even abuse our power, trying to save animals and children. But in reality, we are not saving them. We are testing our own power as a human over lesser beings. All the movies about magic, it's not about Satanism, like some of those who are in the conspiracy world or right-wing or left-wing Christian, or in the Hebrews are like, oh, the movies are all about Satanism. Not necessarily. They're showing you that even you in your Hebrew world, in your right-wing Christian, left-wing Christian world, like to exercise power and control over somebody else. And yes, it's through the family, through friends, through the religion, through worshiping, through trying to be worshipped by trying to wake everybody up. Try to say, we're going to save America and all this stuff, and wield your power of, oh gosh, you're not an American if you don't believe what we believe. And that is a power people use over others. Okay? And so the movies is about magic, like the Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and even the slasher movies are showing you what happens when power lands in the wrong hands and what evil and cruelty from the power is born. However, on the flip side, the movies show you what happens when power is in the right hands. And that dichotomy humans struggled over since the beginning of civilization. What is justifiable evil evolution and what is wanton abuse and violence within the tent to destroy? Okay? And so just look at your friends who are queen bees and king bees with the power to develop alliances against one female or a bunch of females. It's also happening in group settings like admins and mods. Remember in the J world, we had 50, 60,000 person group. Then we had a smaller group and a secret group. And then we had my website, and then I had mods and myself, and I even bought some of my mods' computers. I even employed Lillian to be like the admin to my pages and even to my website. And she was awesome. I paid her whatever I paid her, and she also has a computer from that. And so we also had a taste of what it's like to be powerful as a moderator. And even in the chemtrails, weakness group, when I was wielding my power, and Terrence, one of the other admins, he was like, we were partners in that. And I would get really drunk with power. The power to banish someone from the group. The power to delete comments. The power to go in and correct somebody for what they were saying. I mean, people get a taste of power, and oh my gosh, it can definitely corrupt and make you a despot, make you a dictator. Just look what happened, with Hitler. He became a dictator because he had so much power. And so, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Again, look at the group settings out there. Look at what people do when they have a taste of power over somebody. Whether it's a degree, oh, I have a degree and you don't, so I have the power to correct you. Oh, I have a family, I have a bunch of friends, I have a religion, I have, my drugs and alcohol and sex to go and wield my power over somebody else. And the influencers, on YouTube and Facebook, and then all these group, people that people go and worship, all these influencers, they are drunk with power. Seriously, drunk with power. Power to save, the power to harm, the power to say, hey, copy me and lift muscles and have fast cars and live my life, and you can be a strong human too. It's like exponential infomercials all over your Facebook and YouTube. It's like a long running infomercials. And you get so many personalities, so many angles of trying to get people to buy into their packages, buy into their products, to save them from the chemtrails, to save them from the New World Order, to make their muscles bigger, to give them access to fancy cars and fancy trips. Okay? And so just look at your friends who are queen bees and king bees with the power to develop alliances against one female or a bunch of females. That also happens in group settings like admin and mods against group members or family or large friend-based settings. There is always a matriarch or a patriarch who dictates what should happen and why, and even the punishment doled out. Oh, I'll put you on timeout. I'm going to silence you. See, here's the thing with my page. The only reason why I silence people is because they're talking out of turn, or they're trying to interrupt me, or they're trying to pick up on me, or they're trying to troll me. Oh, but this is doing other groups. Well, yeah. But then when it comes to conversations about things, there's definitely rules, because you can't say certain things, especially with the way Facebook is and censorship, and I get it. But sometimes it's just someone saying something and they're like, oh. And so, even having a page, your own page, like your own Facebook page, it sucks having to be that powerful. I don't like being powerful like that, and I don't want to abuse it. But I try to warn people, just don't try to have a conversation with me when I'm on Facebook Live, and try not to troll me. Please don't troll me. Because I will block you. I don't even want to go back and forth and try to correct you, because that's not for me to do. I'll just block you. And then there's no more power. I'm not trying to suck the life out of you. Because that's what responding to trolls do, is both are trying to suck the life out of each other. And so you do a block and delete, there is no power exchange. There's no energy conversion. There is no manipulation. Just block and delete. So that's the only power I wield, is to actually stop the power from being sucked out of me, and me then taking advantage of somebody else's, not understanding that they are giving away their power by trolling me. Okay, so then I don't take advantage of somebody. But then I will leave mean comments like in my pinned post, so you can see what people do when they go and insert themselves like a vaccine. They RAPE somebody virtually through their emotional reactions, their chaotic emotional reactions to something that they heard. Okay? And so when children and even adults have ever been victimized, they experience power taken from them. And in turn, they find those they can justifiably take power away from to recoup the resources lost and temporarily become whole. But that feeling is fleeting. Okay? That feeling is fleeting. Like we've seen the Vampire Diaries, and they're sucking the life out of someone. They're like, ha. That's what people do when they get a hold of people and they are hanging out with them and they're feeling that warmth and that, yeah, that's like a vampire getting off on sucking someone's blood. Power grabbing from friends and family and strangers and government becomes the culture as people are therapized or the rapey almost out of existence until they finally set boundaries of what people inject or insert in them and why. So the power to develop a family is lucrative because one or two people have complete and utter power over one or more humans being lives and the way they see the world. Okay? So having children is having the ultimate power over your kids, over the way they view the world, over what they eat, what they drink, everything. Sorry. And what they see out there. It's very seductive to have that kind of power, which is why families encourage your daughters and sons to have children to finally taste what it's like to have complete power over a lesser human being and even having pets. What do you mean, Jillian? The power of love is so intoxicating. People live and die for love and company when they are suffering from injuries and trauma of the past, present, and even the future. Why else do weak men, right, and women chase after family while the strong men and women can function on their own with a few girls, prostitutes willing to give it up and act like a whore in the streets and a lady in the streets, but no kids? They have a family to fill in the gaps in their psyche. Okay, you will notice even the strong and weak men still have trauma and weaknesses they work from, and chasing after women and men and family is still a manifestation of filling in the holes and gaps, like plugging holes in the sinking ship. Okay, so even men that are single, not necessarily strong, when they're chasing women and power and prestige, but then, yeah, they were bred to be like an MMA fighter. And so they look hot. They're big muscles. They have nice cars because they made money from their job. They spent their whole life beating people up and getting beat up themselves. Well, what else are they going to do with that power they have? Well, they're going to go and influence other boys to do what they do. I'll tell you, in my world, when you finally have to face those demons of having people hit you for money, and when you finally have to feel every single hit, oh God, yeah, they couldn't do what I'm doing. There's no freaking way. Just even feeling the shoulder pain, the pressure on my shoulders, the neck pain, the arm pain, the back pain, even the front right here pain, and then the rashes because your body is releasing the trauma. Yeah, that was why I had those rashes underneath my armpits, because whatever it is I went through, everything is connected, and when you have damage one place, it reverberates throughout the whole body, and especially the upper portion. My lower portion, my ankle was the only thing, and potentially fatty tumors down there, but that was it when you think about it. Wherever trauma hit, okay? And that's why women need to figure out if it's worth it or not to chase after men and have that kind of trauma to their body parts. Because eventually you're going to have to release the demons. I don't say fill in the holes, because you need to have holes to release demons. But having children and having boyfriends, this is my husband, my last husband. This will be my last husband, my last boyfriend, when you think about it, because there'd be no need for it. Why would I want to go after and chase after someone trying to take my resources and take on antibodies, regardless of how they're manifesting? And so, yeah, at some point, you're not going to want to do that, because you'll remember what it's like having to fill in those holes. You remember what it's like having to feel the pain and suffering of voluntarily going into situations and getting brutalized or getting paid to do that. Whether it's prostitution or MMA fighter or karate or sports. And so, voluntarily getting hit by somebody for money is not a way, in my opinion, it's not a way to go out, because it is painful. Even the Olympians, when they go do all that training, painful. Yeah, they'll have their glory days. Simone Biles is having her glory days. Other Olympians, like Marilee Rett and other people, but they're having their own issues right now, trying to recover from their lifetime of performing for others for money. Okay? And so they have a family to fill in the gaps in their psyche. You'll notice even the strong and weak men still have trauma and weaknesses they work from, and chasing after women, men, and family still a manifestation of filling in the gaps like plugging holes in a sinking ship. It becomes a way of life. Just look at the hot men, women chasing after subs. What do I mean by subs? Well, subscribers or submissives. Subscriber is the same thing as submissive. You're submitting to somebody's information. You're submitting to somebody injecting their information themselves into you. That's basically what a sub is. It's like a dominant, which is the influencer, and then you have the subs that are getting influenced. And so as smart men and women chasing after subs, yes, we're told to help people with knowledge because we have bred such deficiencies in the population. It justifies someone else spoon-feeding others and call it helping and saving others. Now, in my world, I'm not asking for money. I'm not, going after anyone. I'm not crossing boundaries. I'm not imposing my way onto others. I just put information out there, and you choose to either take it or leave it. And there's no one forcing, no one even, expecting you to give me something for what I'm doing. I'm not selling this. You can't sell pain and suffering. I got an email from some talent agency that I don't even know if it's even real, but I just block and delete anyone that says, oh, I can make you famous and shit. Because you don't know what people's intentions are, for one. And second, that is feeding into the greed. That's greed. And you can't sell this to people. You can't. My story is out there. My story is all over the place. It's whether Wikipedia, it's on the books that are out there, even the current book. And what are you going to do? Develop a film about what? You can't sell this. I mean, what kind of story are you going to develop? This is not something that you sell when you think about it. This is something that is an experience that you can see, that someone can face the pain and suffering, but it's not something you can sell to people. You can't be like, well, these kids are growing up deficient, and some can handle, pain and suffering, others can't, and I can't be the one to say they could, and their parents have to figure it out, talk to the medical system professionals, because you don't know what's in their background. But I can only just give off my experience, but this is not something that I will go actively and sell and then try to encourage kids and people who have issues to try to go and just uncover the Pandora's box and rip off the Band-Aid. Nah. This is not something you sell to not even a talent agency. This is not something you sell to anybody. This is just me talking about my experiences and saying that, yeah, there's somebody in the population out there that can face your pain and suffering, but man, it's painful. It's literally painful. It is so painful that I was like, holy crap. What the hell? I was trying to figure out every way possible to figure out how to explain why it is that my shoulder was hurting and my arm was hurting so much. But yes, any part of your body that's hurting is went through some kind of trauma. If there's a tumor, there's a cancer. And some people who are blood types A's and B's, they get so much innovation and so much neural connectivity because they don't have antibodies for certain things to help, calm things down. So there's constant activity. The brain's going so much. And then, yes, people get brain cancer. I know there's 2 people that got some kind of brain cancer. One died from a long time ago, and he was a chemist. Okay, another person, smart dude, dealing with his own brain cancer, and he's not a chemist, but he's a strong dude. Very, very smart person. Very smart person. And so when you get all these different cancers in different places, it's because of how much kinetic energy is involved, causing then a wearing away of the substance. And so when I'm having major pain, oh yeah, because the gate freaking almost closed on me and bent my arm and almost ripped it out of its socket until I pulled it out. I didn't realize how much damage was done. Oh, Jesus. So yeah, you can't sell this to people. And those who go into sports, those that have been brutalized in war and have extremities cut off, oh, yeah, that's painful. You can't sell this. There is no freaking way. Maybe 10, 20 years from now, I'll let somebody from NBC, ABC, some major news network interview me, maybe. Assuming they characterize it correctly. They don't put me out to the wolves again like they did last time. But then I also asked for it because I didn't know all the laws. Maybe in the future, it'll be a whole thing. But that's years from now, if at all. But no, I would not go with any talent agency through email, through anything, even interviewing with people on YouTube now. I'm not looking for fame and fortune. I'm not trying to sell pain and suffering to people who are actively trying to take it away. I'm just giving you my experiences and letting you know, holy shit, those who are in the middle of trying to become whole again, and you don't have that much damage, and if you do, you're prepared to deal with it, and you have the infrastructure, I'm letting you know, it's not easy. It is not easy. It is fucking painful. And so, we are told to help people with knowledge because we have bred such deficiencies in the population to justify someone else spoon-feeding others and call it helping and saving others. And why am I saying that? Because I'm watching some of these YouTube videos, like about Social Security Administration and the new laws and the new rules. And so this guy who's on vacation was giving off the latest rules that have changed or the latest things that have changed. And he's like, and someone's giving him money, right? He gets like donations to his Patreon or to that channel. He's like, oh, this person gives him $50. Every single time someone gives him money, he interrupts what he says and says, thank you. And so then you're like, dude, can you just finish a thought? But he's saying, thank you. Because that's, you see what happens when people get money. It's like, they don't finish a thought. They just interrupt themselves and say, thank you. Which, okay, I understand that. But then what are you doing this for? Is it for the information, giving it out, or is it for making money? And that's where it's like, oh, you see the greed. Okay? And so then what is your channel for? Is it to collect money and come off like you're helping people? Or are you actually helping people? And that's a very fine line. It's a gray area, right? So whole people have no need for so many people to fulfill the things they cannot have or do. All right? So I don't need a bunch of friends. It's nice to have my husband as company, but I don't need a bunch of friends. I don't need a bunch of family. I don't need a lot of company at all. I don't need pets. I just need food. I need information so I can keep learning stuff. Like I was studying stuff about the octet rule to explain what being cured means with salts. The whole salting in and salting out. Salting in is being cured. Salting out is then the chaos. Okay, so there's even that connection. Because people salt in all the time because they need to so they can have whole organs. And when you salt out, you're purifying, which means you're releasing the demons. You're breaking things apart, letting the immune system figure out what it needs to throw away. It's like purging your house, having a garage sale. That's something I need to practice. I didn't put that in there, actually. So, salting in is becoming whole, or negentropy. Oh, there you go. There's that connection. Or negentropy. Negentropy, okay. And salting out is purifying, purging, and entropy. And that's so salting in is cured, and salting out is chaos, entropy. And that was kind of what was going on in the beginning of the J world. Salting in and salting out. And then, yeah, salting out is purifying, purging, and entropy, chaos. And that's the thing. That's why the system is like, oh shit, we have people who are basically almost about to bust open. And the salt does activate people's immune systems and brings things to surface. And everybody's prepared for the energy conversion. And so salting in is becoming whole, or it's called negentropy, cured. And then salting out is purifying, purging, and entropy, chaos. And you don't want to salt out too much because you'll weigh next to nothing. You don't want to salt in too much because then you'll be big as a house. So then you have to allow your immune system to release the demons. Oh my God. And so whole people have no need for so many people to fulfill things they cannot do, have, or do. Whole people understand what it's like not to be whole and chasing after power and control like it was the nectar of the gods to use and abuse. Okay, so it is so crazy, the power of developing power, and it is intoxicating, and it is addictive. And I had a taste of power as a child and as an adult, and it makes you ugly, it makes you mean, and it makes you brutal. I do not want it. So you saw how I acted with people back early on in the J world. People were asking questions and doing this, and I acted like I was like a Medusa with a bunch of demons coming from my head, snakes. Oh yeah. Power of humiliation, power of dispute, the power of trolling, the power of calling government agencies on somebody, or the power of retaliation, the power of using the justice system, even abusing the justice system. Oh yeah, the power, oh my God. People, when they get a taste of power, it's like, oh gosh, it's like having what do you call it? A flubber? You know, what was that? Flubber? Robin Williams, and he couldn't control that power. Yeah. Or even The Simpsons and all that power everywhere, you can't control it. Oh God, my arm is sore today. But wow. Oh, it's kind of crazy out right now. Very crazy. It's kind of hot. All right. And so some people were noticing in the Die Suddenly groups, holy cow, what is going on? The number of suddens is unbelievable the past few weeks. Now today, a radio DJ who was well known a while back, so many in the Long Island area, age seems to be 48 to 53. That's the Hayflick limit. That's exactly what Leonard Hayflick proved, that if you don't actively release demons and eat food, he didn't say this, then potentially, yeah, you will use up your lifelines. Basically, the Hayflick limit is when you have, like, again, an immortalized germline cell, and then you have a downline of somatic cells that can only redouble itself 50 times over. So think about your 11 different systems. You have an immortalized germline cell that controls every single system and also communicates with every other system, so they're all connected. and they have a downline of somatic cells that are able to redouble itself 50 times over. Not all at once. It's all done through, it's like intermittently. Okay. Like generations of people. And so then when you finally use up all your lifelines, it's called done. It's just like Ultimate Survivor. It's like all these reality shows, you have lifelines. You know, even with that, what was it? That one show where you answered questions and then they had lifelines. They can call somebody or they can, I don't know. But anyways, there's a lot of these reality shows that where you can use lifelines. Okay. And so when you have 50 lifelines, when you redouble stuff 50 times over, those lifelines, once you use all those up, you better figure out how to have a sound infrastructure of the old world to develop then a new downline of lifelines, a new immortalized germline cell of lifelines. And so now you're saying that those in Gen X were around 50. Some of them are experiencing some crazy shit. Others are embarking upon a situation that they won't survive. Okay? And you can kind of guess now those who have an issue. When you have more substance to you, you have more body to convert. You could release demons. You have to feel the pain and suffering. I couldn't tell you if you should do that or not. But when you're so skinny, there's nothing to convert. You're so resistant. Skinniness is resistance. You don't want to be skinny. You want to be like me, not too big and not too small. You have room to move. Okay? And so Gen X, you are the crapshoot. We have millennials that follow in either footsteps, and some have been saddled with children, but they'll have to feel stuff. Okay? They know they have kids, but they got to feel shit. And you got to bring on that substance. If you don't have enough, and if you have too much substance, you got to take away substance, and that's something that you're going to have to figure out with your doctor, how to do that slowly so you don't overwhelm your system. Everything is gradual. It's a conditioning. Okay? And so I keep a very diverse profile, and I belong to so many different groups, so I have a bird's eye view of the world, and I also pay attention to my own triggers, and there's a lot of truth to what's going on. What do you mean, truth and triggers? No. Yeah, the climate. I saw my husband yesterday. Oh my God, Taiwan is getting pounded by this typhoon. Direct hit. He's like, oh, I wouldn't be surprised if China comes after us if Kamala's in office. I'm like, dude, China doesn't have to come after us. China doesn't have to go or not come after us, go after China. No, they don't need to bring in troops to Taiwan. Just take a huge tornado, a typhoon, and annihilate and just drown people out. Just completely annihilate them, drown them. My husband's like, no. I'm like, yeah. You know, that would be so much easier than using human resources. When you can go and control the weather, allegedly, right? And then say, oh, it's climate change, which it is, but it is climate change. Or when you can change the climate and develop, you know, such aggressive energy that causes particle acceleration, causes growth, that people who are kind of like resistant to releasing, resistant to change, can't handle it and die suddenly. And you don't have to be anywhere near them. Just change the climate, you change the people. He's like, no, that can't happen. I'm like, God, my husband, hello. He's so funny. All right. And so yeah, I pay attention to my own triggers and a lot of truth to what's going on. That's why it pays to have the diverse friends, not a homogenized list of people who are all mainstream, because they're not fucking aware. They're too busy getting things treated. They're too busy playing in the same traditions and games. They're not aware there's a bigger thing going on out there, but how can you tell them? They're like, oh no, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're stupid. Okay. All right. But that's why it pays to have diverse friends. So that way you can see what happens and make connections if it's possible. I know climate change and the crazy weather it's happening in Taiwan and Arizona and other places have a lot to do with the new world we're going into. And that also influences cytokine storms or potential cases of died suddenly from heart attacks and strokes and other blood clots. Okay, fertility of all types, whether it's the therapies or it's having a string of boyfriends and girlfriends or encouraging your daughters and sons to have kids, is extremely deadly and also contributes to a lot of died suddenly. Fertility was never meant to carry on the human race, because what kind of humans are you carrying on into the future of the human race? I mean, you see people die around you. They weren't meant to stay alive, whether they were 20, 15, 13, 12, 1, or even 78. You're not carrying on the human race because you had a kid and that kid happens to be doing a job, because they're going to die someday, if not sooner. Okay? So fertility was never meant to carry on the human race. It was meant to test and experiment with different cultures. Petri dishes. Family is basically a culture, a petri dish. And it's something that people study. Fertility was never meant to carry on the human race, because what kind of humans are you carrying on into the future of the human race? That's what the science community was experimenting the last 80 years. If you're not, it's not your job or your family's job to populate the human race. Let the science community develop the children who become balanced adults. And here's the thing. Let the adults who are alive right now find a way to become whole and also release demons. No guarantee the children will survive, or even your grandchildren. But the adults my age who have something to convert have a better chance than everybody in their family. And so it's interesting seeing very abundant women. I've seen a lot of examples, not just one example. So I'm not just talking about you if you think I'm talking about you. No. I've seen a lot of abundant women have very skinny children, boys and girls, very skinny. Yeah. So there's that. Okay. And then maybe Michelle Obama will be president. Who knows? Oh, yeah. So you don't know what people's intentions are. So whatever information, words, and energy they give you, you convert to something that works for you. But never assume they intended to give you something to be a hero to yourself or the world. Maybe they wanted you to be a zero and you converted the intentions. It doesn't even matter at this point, okay? Convert whatever energy you pick up and make it work for you. But I never assume anyone, I don't care who they are, has good intentions for me ever. It's free energy given, and I convert it to the way it needs to be converted. And I welcome occasional free energy, but I don't abuse it. So again, having been in touch with the past the other day was a nice energy conversion, a nice new energy brought in. But I will never abuse it. Never. And I have no expectations around that engagement. Because what's the point in really reliving so much? I mean, at some point, maybe down the road, if all the conditions are right, I can talk with people that are my age when we have a space to do that. But right now, yeah. Right now, we're just kind of watching things unfold. And, I already have a track that I'm on. I have a great husband. I have a great life. I'm expanding my brain. I'm in a nice area. Okay. People leave me alone. I leave them alone. Occasionally I see people, these are my neighbors, or go to the grocery store. But yeah, there is nothing else I want to cultivate as far as anything more than that. I mean, and I use my Facebook and sometimes private messenger if I already know who you are. So that's the extent of it. That's pretty much where I'm at. I'm not trying to actively cultivate anything more than what I have. This is probably as much as I'm able to deal with at this point with everything that's going on in this world. And so occasionally when new cultures come in for a second, or old cultures, or new energy, different energy, cultivate it, welcome it, it's a gift, but never abuse it. Never abuse any information or any energy someone gives you. Okay? And so, I hope Kamala gets in, but she may not. It might be Michelle Obama. I mean, if Trump gets in, I'm already okay with the Heritage Foundation. I'm already okay with it. Regardless, I'm okay with it. Okay? So, I don't care who's in office. But it would be kind of cool to have a black woman president. It would be really awesome. Or an Indian. Or what is it, Hindu? Kamala's Hindu. I have no issue. They're all qualified. Every single person they've put in front of us, that even we've resisted, are all qualified. I don't care what kind of perceptions you have about the future, but every single one of them is qualified. Just pay your bills, stay home and stay safe if it's dangerous, and abide by the law. Yeah. And so to further explain the whole cured in chaos, which is basically the covalent bonding, different covalent, ionic and covalent bonding. Yeah. Anyways, was it atoms? Oh gosh. Yeah, I guess we're called atoms. Yeah, atoms, electrons. Although the O atom, right? Atom has an octet of electrons. So knowing the atom has the electrons, then it has all the subatomic particles, neutron, electron. Okay. All right. So all the electrons, electron for electron, explaining what being cured is like the even, 2 and 2, right? 2, 1 for 1. Electron for electron. Anytime an odd numbered electrons, you're going to have a chemical reaction. And a stable reactive compound would be any electrons under 8. So there's a violation of the octet rule, which you have less than 8 electrons. And then you have an odd number of amount of electrons. That would then cause chemical reactions. And so that's the whole periodic table is with those numbers is telling you what kind of electrons and molecules and all that. And then the compounds and then how reactive they are. Okay, and then there's the whole math of adding electrons. When you have 15 electrons, that's a chemical reaction. It's nitrogen, was it nitrogen oxide? NO. NO2 is nitrogen dioxide. All right, so although the O atom has an octet, which is, it's a valence of 8 electrons, and it's like those concentric circles. And it shows you even how those electrons are positioned on those concentric circles. Okay, so you look at the atom and you look at where the electrons reside, the valence of electrons, the inner and the outer and the shell and all that stuff. Then you look at then how your community is constructed, just like an atom of electrons. And everything has to have balance and all that. And it shows you even too what happens when you transfer electrons or when you share them. When you transfer, then you're taking in the extra and going to the next cell to then share the electron. And so there's even a picture that shows you that. And the violation of the octet rule is when you have less than 8 electrons or you have an odd number amount of electrons when you have compounds put together. So let me see, what was that? I think that's what I said about sharing. Yeah, shared electrons when you have 2 circles together and they're sharing the electrons. So that's the negentropy. That's the salting in. And salting out is the transfer of electrons. That's exactly, see, there you go, the octet rule. When you actually look at the picture, yeah, the salting out is the transferring of electrons. That's what I have to say too. Okay. And so salting out is purifying, purging, and equals transferring electrons or violation of the octet rule. Because that has to be, okay. It's odd number, so you have to transfer it out. Eventually, yeah, because you have chemical reaction, you'll either destroy itself or it has to be thrown out. That's like when you have somebody coming into your house that's like super influential and they're making chaos. Well, there might be some kind of like chaos for a second, but you have too much chaos and you cultivate too much chaos, too much influence, you got to kick it out. You literally have to, just like having a baby, 9 months, or else that baby's going to kill you. Okay? And so that salting out and salting in is the sharing of electrons. And that picture shows you. Okay? So that's a trip. Yeah. So cured chaos. So that's what I'm saying. when you finally clear the pipes, right? When you finally, release your demons, you can use both sides of your brain, but you have to also exercise your brain. And sometimes it's just speaking so you can hear yourself, but also writing, even if it's nonsensical, writing stuff, writing long, like just, again, practice writing how to paraphrase what a video is about, how to paraphrase what an article is about. Pull out the main points. Get used to learn how to paraphrase. What is it like, a picture's worth 1,000 words? I'm not saying draw pictures, but if you could take something that's so long and then just give your little tiny brief synopsis of how you perceive it and give somebody 2 or 3 sentences so they get it, that's how you exercise your brain to process information and spit out a conclusion. Even if someone else doesn't agree with it, it doesn't matter. You're exercising your brain to do that. That's what I've been doing. And I remember back a couple of years ago, I was writing 40 pages about stuff, basically almost just copying, not literally copying, but like just regurgitating the encyclopedias out there, regurgitating the websites, regurgitating information, public information, processing it. And that's where I understand now the valence and octet rule. Before I was just like something I read. I'm like, I don't know how to, there's no context for me in this. I don't know, how to explain this in a way that would give me an example, metaphors, similes, analogies. So I learned about the octet rule and about those valences and electrons, but I didn't know how to explain it because I didn't have enough background, enough life experience, enough, examples to show you how that actually looks like in the world that we live in. So finally I'm able to do that with the salting in, salting out. Then socially, when you bring in 2's a company, 3's a crowd, it makes a lot of sense. And that's why you don't want to bring in roommates into your marriage. That's why when you have a marriage, you stay 2 of you. If you are younger marriage, you don't want to bring in so many different people in your marriage. It'll cause chaos, corruption, like little corruption. If you want to stay married, try not to have kids and try not to have too many people up in your fucking business telling you how you should do shit. You don't want to have family coming in and mother-in-laws and father-in-laws and sisters and brothers coming in and telling you shit. You want to be the savior of your family. Oh, you can land here. We've already been through that, down that road with my husband and I. We got to be on our own. And I knew that. I knew every single time we hung out with family, it was going to be a total tinderbox. Because that's what family is. Too many electrons fighting amongst each other. Okay? And so if you want peace and quiet without rest and peace, lessen the amount of people you interact with. But I don't know, as people are, they have holes to fill. So yeah, there's that. So there's the octet rule in chemistry. And then you can apply that to social constructs and family and friends and fights. The whole Where Did I Come From? We had that as kids. That's a book about how to, about what sexual reproduction is. Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, trauma can cause blindness. I realized ever since I got my DMV stuff and I couldn't read the writing and I was squinting. I was going into grocery stores, squinting. Yeah. That trauma, that whatever happened back then, that was such a trauma that caused I didn't even realize how much trauma it caused until now I'm finally dealing with it. Yeah, trauma can cause blindness, but it's usually not complete. Psychological trauma can cause reduced visual functions such as blurry vision or nearsightedness through a condition called Streff syndrome. It can also aggravate vision loss caused by other factors. Traumatic brain injury can cause vision problems, including damage to the parts of the brain that processes sensory nerve impulses from the eyes. Eye injuries can be caused by blunt force trauma, such as globe rupture, retinal detachment, or retrobulbar hematoma, which can lead to permanent vision loss, or other injuries that can cause blindness includes corneal abrasions, iris injuries, hypophemas, lacerations, and foreign objects in the eye. So that's why those who are landscaping or doing stuff where you're looking up at things coming down, you need to wear protective eye gear. Okay, but even just being in stressful, like war situations, running away from some stupid situation like I did, no wonder I could have see in double vision. No wonder I had such trauma to my arm of feeling such shit to. Yeah, I was relieving stupid mistakes that I made. Oh my gosh. And so now that I released the demons, my vision came back. When you have trauma, regardless, it's like a demon. It's like a devil within you. And people manifest their behaviors or love, 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 hate, hate, hate. Have to have a bunch of people and family and friends around you to fulfill the holes. I mean, that's what you're seeing all around you. All the families out there, and then all the fights. The fights, the friendships, and the families. And so someone posted this. They're saying things your doctors will not talk about that are making you sick. And they're like seed oils. Okay. Wi-Fi. Okay. Blue light at night, sitting all day, mouth breathing, AirPods, excessive drugs, birth control, plastics, processed foods, negative thoughts, sunglasses. Well, unresolved memories and traumas. When you have unresolved memories and traumas, everything will trigger you. Everything. That's why you're having such a chaos out there and you see everybody going like, oh my God, the air, food, and water, everything's poison. Everything causes cancer. You're like, okay, well then fuck. What's the point of living, right? If everything causes cancer. And so when you think about it, you guys are all memories and there's so much trauma, even in your genetic line and whatever choices you made and all the therapies and everything else. And you got to resolve the memories and traumas. And if you can't, well, the system can't force you. So they'll give you, every avenue to go and blame, and then you can't hurt somebody else. But you can say whatever the fuck you want and go and treat yourself to death. So you then are out of pain or live in pleasure until you die. And that's the thing. That's essentially what's going on. All right. So hypervalent, more than 8 electrons. Hypovalent, less than 8 electrons. And that's the thing, this hypernatremia and hyponatremia. Hypernatremia, too much salt, too many electrons, right? Which is not bad, but whatever. Because you can be cured. But then, not enough salt, you fly apart. Or you're gelatinous and there's no activity. You can't release demons. And so those demons destroy you. So that was the whole hypernatremia and hyponatremia that was used against me back then. Oh, Jillian has too much salt in her drink. Basically, you guys are lacking electrolytes. But it also caused then a meiosis, either a sexual reproduction or an event, because your body needed to move that colony unit of bacteria, but were you conditioned to have it move, but you survived it? I mean, when I was on that stage, the 2 ladies that were slamming me and then that one dude slamming me, they all survived the chaos regardless if they were on the outside capitalizing on the drama or they experienced whatever events they experienced, they survived it. But did you die? Oh, but I felt something. Yeah, we all are feeling something now. We all are feeling something now. Some people are dying suddenly, but you fucking survived, people across from me. And maybe you are still alive today. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I don't follow anybody that was across from me. Even people next to me, I don't even know what the hell's going on with them. I'm not even friends with anyone that was next to me the last how many years. John's gone, Kevin's gone, Bridget's gone, Angie's gone. Who else? The other ladies from that, were gone. Lillian's gone. Everybody's gone. Oh, what? Because you chased them away now because it was absolute power creeps, absolutely. And they needed to move on. But they got pretty well compensated. They have an audience. They have a following. They have things. They have a computer. They have information. They have fame and fortune, maybe. I don't know. But everybody in the J world that was next to me, even John, even Kevin, they have a platform. They have information. They have an awareness. None of them left my situation lacking anything. If anything, they're armed with more information, armed with more of an audience, armed with more of everything. So we've pretty much let the relationship run its course. Kelly, I don't talk to her. I don't know what's going on with her, but she's probably doing okay. I'm assuming, I don't know. Lori, everybody, and they all came away with this really not at a loss when you think about it. everybody is has received either my time or the information, or they have another platform to work from. Whether they use it or not doesn't make a difference. But anyways, and so yeah, the ladies across from me were feeling a type of reproduction and then a release. Okay, that's heart attacks, strokes, aneurysms. And so my world is releasing the demons, so you're not constantly being fornicated on or in, causing antibodies, because that's what all the V's do, is they develop antibodies. It's a chemical reaction of positive and negative, developing an offspring. That's the Trinity. That Trinity is the energy. It is the violation of the octet rule. 3. 2 is a company, 3 is a crowd. Meiosis is about 3, energy, and then positive and negative. And so mitosis is you dealing with the entities inside, developing an offspring called your vital organs, and anything excessive releases through your mucus or your poop, pee, sweat, symptoms. Okay, that's mitosis, is you birthing yourself and releasing the demons. But if you keep those demons within, then you get sexual reproduction, or you get cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and feeling tortured and crazy dreams, and you feel the spirituality, the incubus and succubus, and the paralysis, and even inviting spirits into your world. Seeing ghosts and seeing apparitions. I mean, I'm watching these paranormal shows, you're like, oh my gosh, look, there's a picture. They show pictures of, like, you know, the ghosts behind them. Well, why do they have ghosts behind them? Because they still got a lot of diversity within, inviting the netherworld, inviting the upside down, and attracting the upside down. Because remember, people who have a lot of diversity within, a lot of fertility, are going to be fornicating themselves out of existence. And the dead world are attracted to those that are on the verge. That's like with the Grim Reaper, just kind of waiting in the background, waiting for something to happen. That was the last 3 months. What I dealt with back then, that situation was so traumatic. I didn't remember that it was that traumatic. But remember the shadow, like the shadow of death. That's what I experienced, some kind of shadow of death. But I escaped it, but I had to relive it. And when I was done with that shadow of death, and I had to keep closing the door to my room because I'm seeing crazy spirits and stuff, and I'm releasing demons and having the arm pain and that sneezing fit. Remember the sneezing fit I was telling you when I was on the water? My husband? That was the waking up of that situation. And it was like the shadow of death. And I had enough conditioning to release those demons. I had enough conditioning to eat the food, enough conditioning to go and sleep. Because my body was building up to that point to finally fight that demon. It kept it at bay. That demon was kept at bay. I don't know what the hell demon I dealt with back when I was crawling up the stairs, and my dog was still alive at the time, and that's when the CERN, July 22nd, when CERN was turned up, I couldn't tell you what that demon was, where I could barely move. I don't even know. It could have been all the antibiotics. It could have been so many things. I couldn't even tell you. But this arm pain was when I did stupid shit. So, yeah. So the whole mitosis is giving birth to yourself. And that's basically the immortality. My world is somatic cell replication, redoubling itself until it uses up its lifelines, and then it must go to the next immortalized germline cell and develop another downline. And that's called asexual reproduction. Occurs when a single individual produces offspring that are genetically identical to itself. The process can occur through fission, budding, or fragmentation. For example, most single-celled microorganisms reproduce asexually by duplicating their genetic material and dividing it in half. Okay, so you're 69 trillion of single-celled microorganisms that work in a community that have a collective goal of survival, and they have to work together within the body. Okay, so I have 69 trillion single-celled organisms that are supposed to replicate, but when you have so much diversity and there's lack of organization or a fighting for organization, then you get sexual reproduction, you get children. And then people get drunk off that power. Okay? So again, when you think about having 69 trillion colony-forming units of diverse microbes, they all fornicate with each other, developing offspring. That offspring becomes either your evolution and survivability, or it becomes your destruction. And when you hold so much diversity within your body, sometimes it turns into sexual reproduction, which could be your destruction if you can't replace the substance that was lost. All right. And that was the octet rule too. That's right. Cured chaos. That was a J-Juice world. Even number electrons, cured equilibrium. Odd number electrons, chaos, evolution, agitation. And you got to be able to balance between the cured and the chaos. All right. And so everything is transactional. It's like balancing your ledger. Wow. Yeah, channel your power. I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do, but everything's about channeling your power. Harry Potter, the zombie world, Twilight, it's about power. How do you channel it? How do you manage it? How do you develop it? How do you release it? I mean, it's just wow. Okay? And so from atom to zero, ATOM to zero, A to Z, ADAM to zero, it took me 50 years to discover this. When I said zero with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so the whole alphanumeric script all the way to then Y, but I didn't put Z, I just left it off, but I had zero. So almost like subconsciously my body was saying, or something in my body was saying, that zero is also a representation of Z, which is zero. And I'm like, oh yeah, atom to zero. It took me 50 years to discover this. How does one stay alive between atom and zero? How does one survive becoming a hero to a zero and a zero to a hero? So I was a hero back in the J world, at the height of the J world during the Dr. Phil days. I'm saying I'm at zero now, but I mean, I'm not cultivating so much influence. I'm not trying to attract followers. I'm pissing off everybody by taking different sides and, oh, Kamala, oh, Trump, and everybody hates either Kamala or Trump. So, I mean, so I've went from a hero to a zero, which is still everything and nothing. And that's peace without rest and peace. And so, yeah, it's possible to finally not fall victim to chasing the power, learning how to control your power. That's exactly what all these movies are about. That's what the New World Order is about, controlling your power. And you're given the opportunity to do that. I know you're not going to like all the parameters and regulations, but how many people out there are abusing their power? Breeding children, breeding animals, harming each other, fights, and friendships and families, doing stupid crap, and their children are out of control, running the streets, or who knows what. So that's the thing. So the system has to do what it's doing because people do not know how to manage the power they have. They got to get it cut out, and then they're like now maimed, deficient, in pain. What's the new world to do? Well, they're doing it. You're getting every opportunity to figure out how to channel and control and regulate your power. And if you can't, fine, use Facebook. And go get your drugs and your alcohol and your sex and have a bunch of kids and end up dying suddenly one day. That's what ultimately is going to come down to. But while you're way out the door, you can collect your friends and family and baubles and influence and collect all your subs because you're the dom, right? And make your money for the government because ultimately whatever money you make, you're going to give a percentage of it to your government. And they know it. Taxes. So, gosh. All right. That's all I'm going to say for now. But, I guess, yeah. Cured chaos, whatever. Yeah, becoming whole is painful. And so the pain, my people, are the power. And I hope you find a way to control that power. Hope you find a way to control the power so it saves you, whatever that means. Or it could destroy you, and that's fine too. But those in the West, you have the power of choice. But some of you have backed yourself into a corner. And I hope you can fight your way out without destroying yourself. And eventually, yeah, I mean, inevitably you're going to corrupt somebody else trying to fight your way out of, a paper bag. But what are you going to do? All right, so good luck. Oh, my God. I'm telling you, it's been a freaking crazy journey. But thanks for being there, guys. All right, talk to you later. Bye.